Hi, Kathy here from Kathy's Cute Creations. Today it is the August beginner block of the month. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get started. What we're going to need is strips of the different fabrics that you want to use for this block. All I did was take my extra fabric, cut it into strips. It's all different lengths, but I tried to get it all 2 inches wide just so it would be easier when I go to sew it. You're going to also need 2 squares of the colors that you like, 9-inch. Okay? And then I have cut out 4 pieces of paper, and they are all 8 inches. So let's go over to the sewing machine and we'll begin to put it together. Cut your 9-inch squares. Go ahead and cut them diagonally so that you have 2. They're going to look like that. Alright? And then let's take it over to the sewing machine. Now this paper is no more than foundation paper. You can use an old phone book if you want to. You can use typing paper. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take your fabric, one of these triangles. You're going to put it catty corner. And if you don't know where to mark or don't know where to set it, you can go ahead and like put it at the edge here. Here's what I did. I put a pin at the top in the middle up there and a pin on this corner here, and if you lay it down it'll all be on there. We're going to sew on the side that has the paper on it so that you can see corner to corner. If you want to mark it with a pencil, you may. This is what it looks like when it's been marked. That's just pencil mark. Remember now, the right side is facing the paper. Put it underneath your machine. You can start at the corner or you can go off the edge of the corner. It's up to you. I'm going to start it at the corner and see if it works. It did not pull my paper in. Just go all the way down. And I see that I've caught my paper all the way down here. Go. We're going to take these pins out here. Flip it over. Now you've got this much fabric left over, which is fine. And when you flip it over, it's covered your entire right-hand side of your block. And yes, you can iron this while it's on the paper. I wouldn't use steam because I don't want my paper to get wet. But that's the beginning, and you want to do every one of your 8-inch pieces of paper like that. So 2 of them are going to have this color, and 2 are going to have the other color. Now they're all 4 done. Also, I want to add that you want to go ahead and set your stitch length at 2 instead of 2.5, which is what the normal is 2.5. Now let me show you one of these that's... Okay, so this one here, you can tell that well, maybe you can't tell it, but anyway, the fabric didn't quite meet the edge of the paper, but that's fine because when we get done we're going to square these up, because these 4 pieces of paper, which are 8-inch squares, are actually going to make up our 12.5-inch block, so there's going to be plenty there. Now you can do a couple of things right now. I went ahead, I set my seams, I ironed them. I did turn my iron down. You can either go to your cutting table and cut these corners off, or you can leave them. You can cut them with your rotary cutter. You can cut them with the scissors. It doesn't make any difference. I personally am going to sit right here and just cut them with my scissors, just because they look like they're in the way when I'm going to do my next piece of fabric. So let me cut mine off. Now this is where you're going to audition your strips. For example, here's my block right here. So looking at this, I would think, wow, this purple might look pretty good up against there. And I don't need to have the blue because I can take my green and I can have my green up against there. Maybe I want my blue right there. Maybe I want a red here. And you can make these because, like I said, I made mine all 2 inches. So the size of the strips can be anything you want, as many of these strips as you want to put on there. So I'm looking at it and I want to put let's see, there's 4 here, five counting this one. And I think that I want to put 5 strips on mine. But if I want this light blue, which is right here, which could look like I got 2 strips right there, I can put it like that, and then from there, maybe I want this blue one here, because that looks pretty good. Maybe I don't want this green one at all. Now it looks like I've got 3 strips here. Then this looks pretty good. And maybe this one here. Or maybe I don't want this one. Maybe I want this one. Whoops, excuse me. So that's what you want to do. You want to look at your strips, decide what you want to put on the end, and then what you're going to do, I'm going to do this one for sure, so let's do that one first, and I'm going to do the blue one. So you're going to lay it, and I want the purple up against here. So you lay it, because remember now this has been ironed, so you lay it up against, you lay it on this side, and you're going to lay it right up against the edge of that, and you're going to sew 1/4 inch, and when you do, you're going to flip it like this when you're finished. Okay? And that's what it's going to look like. So just get the fabric that you want, iron it, make it flat, lay it down, and sew it. And now that I put a crease in it, I need to take it to the ironing board, and I'll be right back. Now the main thing that you're looking at is you want your fabric to overlap this piece of paper and this other fabric. And then we're doing our 1/4 inch. Which my 1/4 inch is right there. You do not need to backstitch. Keep it as straight as you can. I went ahead and I put pins in this fabric here to hold it down to the paper so that it doesn't come up and bunch up underneath. Since this is something new to you, for those that haven't done it before, that is. Just take your time. See it here? To the edge. And then you're going to want to turn it over, and then you're going to want to iron this piece of fabric, and we're going to repeat the process. After I iron this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take these pins and move them to hold this down while I put the next piece on. Now looking at the next piece that I want to put on, I have 2 choices because it is so long. I can either put this on here, which has that real pretty purple tips, or I can move it down to here and put it with the red where the flowers are at. Either one of them are going to look good. Doesn't make a difference. I think I'm going to do the one with the purple. And all I'm doing is making sure that it fits on my entire piece of paper. I've moved it up close. I took this and I've moved it up close to this and guessed at 1/4 inch, so I have an idea of how much it's going to stick out. And I already know that my paper's right here and my paper's there, so this part's not even going to be on it, so I can move it over. But I want all of this flower part on there, so that'll be perfect. So since I know that's exactly where it's going to go, I'll just flip it over and then just start sewing it on. And as a matter of fact, the back of it, pick it up a little bit, you can tell where it's going to lay on that. Alright, just put underneath the machine, start up here at the edge, and sew this next strip on. I ran into my pen. I got it too close to the, there we go, the head of it. Let's take that out of there. Now here's where I decide, do I want to keep this width or do I want to make it smaller? So I need to decide what is my next piece. That's a pretty color, but that kind of matches this too much, so maybe I want to go green, which is right here. And maybe I only want that much sticking out. So that's what I need to sit and decide. Let me take a look at some of my fabrics here. Well, here's a pretty piece right here. I really like this puzzle piece. Let's see here. Oh, this one's pretty too. So maybe I'll take and put this green one. Alrighty, I decided to go ahead and use that green, so let me get that sewn on there. Show it to you. Now I'm going to go ahead and keep this 2 inches. I kind of like it that way. I think it'll fit one more piece on there and that's it. Okay, that's what that one looks like. And so now you got to think, the only thing you're covering is really this little square right here. So I think that purple right there would look good. Keeping in mind that that might not even end up being in the square when we square it up. But I do like that. Let me go ahead and iron this first. Okay, let's put this last one up underneath there. Sew that on. And I'm going to iron this, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to show you us taking this excess fabric off. So you turn this upside down, lay out the fabric, and what you're doing is you're cutting along the paper here. That's all. Right along the paper. And you're taking all that off. Turn it, do the same thing on this side. So you could say that this is actually squaring up this block. And this is what you end up with. Let's get this out of the way. Right there. Now we're going to end up with 4 of them like that. Let me put the camera up a little bit here. That's what it looks like. This is your one big piece of solid, and then these are all the things that we've added to it. Now we're going to make 4 of these. This is where your choice is to take this fabric, make these all the same, or take the other piece of fabric and make them like this. It's going to be your choice. You need to be thinking about, we're going to take all 4 of these blocks and we're going to lay them down together. We're going to sew them, and then we're going to square it up. So that's what you need to be thinking about, how you want each one of these blocks. I'm thinking that I may go ahead and make the other block like this, identical to it. I do have enough fabric. I'll look and see. Let me go ahead and finish my other 3 blocks, and then I will bring them back to this table and show you what they look like before we connect them. I also wanted to say that this is the foundation paper that I used. And this is normally what I use when you can see if we can get the glare off a little bit there. There you go. There. That's what I use for my paper. I've used this, and I've used a foam book because the foam book paper is real thin like this also. I have them done, and as you can tell, I did not have that purple and pink. I had a purple and blue, so it doesn't make any difference. I did the best that I could. But this is what we do now. So you take all 4 of your squares that you have, And I am going to turn them so you have an idea of what I'm trying to do here. Let's see. If I put this one like that, and this one like that, and this one like that, and what I've done is I took the center, which was the end, and I put all the end, what was like the last piece that I did, which is these 4 little ones right here. If you do that, you can see the kind of square that that makes. And that's what our square will end up looking like. But that's not a bad looking square. Or you can turn these this direction. Let me turn them all around. Let's turn 2 first. I'm going to turn these 2 right here first. So that's the effect you get if you just turn 2 of them. Let's turn all 4. So I'm going to turn this one. Trying to hold the camera and do this at the same time. Hopefully it's not out of the camera. So let's say that this was the way you wanted yours. And if you want, instead of making these 2 different colors, you can make them 4 different colors. You don't need to make them 2. I just made them 2 because this is the way that I wanted to set mine up. But you can make this half of this square an actual all 4 different colors, and then, you know, because looking at this, you can see that you could put 4 different colors in the middle and then still put your strips on the outside. It's up to you. So I'm going to decide what I want to do. Now I still have the paper. As you can see, the paper's still on it. I'm going to leave it on, and then when I'm done, I will take it off. So let me play around here with my blocks and see if I see something else. So here's another way you could do it. That's another way, so they look like they meet up. I still do like that middle one, where all the little bitty little pieces, little triangles in the middle. So I probably will stay with that. Alright, I've completed sewing it together. And I'm going to put my ruler on it to show you that this hasn't been squared up or anything, and this is more than 12.5 inches. Here's the ruler. See how much bigger it is? So it's going to be cut quite a bit down. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the paper off. Alright, so iron your block. I'm going to try to tip this camera so that I don't get those lights, those overhead lights in here. And as you'll notice, right here, right there is my 6 inch. And see how the 4 little bitty black lines meet? That is actually the intersection of my block. So when you go up here, let's get that darn it, there we go. Okay, and you can see that I followed the line all the way up, right here. And you're going to do the same thing down here. Oop, let's not get dizzy here. Down to the 6. Okay, same with on the corners here. Because when you sew this together, right here, see it? Right there? It's going right through there, and you want it to go all the way through to the other end. Now, you're going to hold this down as you cut along the side. All of this is considered excess out here. Alright, so this gigantic corner became this little corner. But everything else got smaller too, so don't worry about it. Now, if you don't like the way the design turned out in the middle and you want something else, like let's say that you have somehow, whatever you did, you have strips coming down here, you can move this whole thing over. All you're trying to do is create a 12.5 inch block. I don't know how to get that. There we go. A 12.5 inch block. Okay? So let me cut mine, and then I'm going to show you when I'm finished. Make sure that you iron it first so it's laying flat for you and there's no bumps. Okay, it's all finished. And there you go. I hope you like this video. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe, click on the little bell so you get my next ones. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.